Have you ever practically walked out mid-sex? What happened? 30 years ago, we were in bed naked and just about to make love and she curled into the fetal position, started crying and said, "No, Daddy." Muffin says no. I got dressed and we talked for a while. I recommended counseling and then I left. From what I understand, she went back to Utah and got married. I hope she is well and her father rots in hell. Holy crap. That's so very upsetting. She kept insisting that I didn't need a condom. I'm infertile was among her excuses. As if I just met you on Tinder. I ain't raw dogging it. I just walked out. We didn't do anything. Yeah, dude, anytime someone says we don't need a condom, that's when you know you do. We don't need a condom, Jack. We're trying to have a baby. Yep, definitely need a condom. You had a chick do this and I noped out. A few months later, I found out she was pregnant. Dodged a bullet. My wife head-butted me when tussling around in bed. Didn't think much of it. Kept going, switched position with me on top. She commented that I was drooling on her face. Thing is, I'm not a dog, so I wasn't drooling at all. Wiped my face with the back of my hand, which came back wet. Lights on. Blood all over the place. My nose was bleeding. I had bled in her eye. Not as much a walkout since we still went to sleep together, but sex wasn't on the menu for the rest of the evening. Thing is, I'm not a dog. That's exactly what a dog would say. We hadn't gotten very far, but I quickly moved down while she quickly moved up, and I broke my nose on her pelvic bone. She suddenly flipped the absolute F out, screaming at me about ruining our night as blood gushed out of my nose. Mind you, this was like the second date. She continued to yell at me about how I needed to fix this, a total accident, and I just cleaned myself up the best I could and went home. That was really selfish of you to get injured while going down on her. Right? I mean, how hard would it be to just stop bleeding immediately? Shove a tampon up your nose and get back in there, soldier. She will make a great bridezilla for someone someday. Screaming at me about ruining our night. Reminds me of a female acquaintance of mine who got her period when they were preparing to have sex on a date. Her date accused her of doing this on purpose. Some people are such good communicators that they tell you everything you need to know about them in one sentence. Neat, smiley face, thumbs up. Oof. My girlfriend at the time had been riding me rather vigorously and came slightly disconnected on the upswing. Gravity and exuberance drove her back down, snapping my penis in half, audibly, I might add, on her pelvic bone. Not going to lie, wish it had been my nose. Edit, because a number have asked. No, I didn't go to hospital/see a urologist, didn't even think it was that serious at the time, but let's be honest, in the moment, it's effing serious. No lasting damage, bruising and tenderness for a week and a bit, but no banana bend, no recurring pain, nothing. I consider myself pretty lucky in that regard, considering it could have been catastrophic. Upvoted for pity, but really wanted to downvote so no one has to read this. This wasn't the guy's fault. I was bouncing on his dick and I accidentally bit my bottom lip really hard when I bounced. I started bleeding profusely on his chest and down my chin. We both stopped and ran to the bathroom. This is weird, this happened to me once, she still has a scar from it, nearly bit the whole way through her lip. Edit, spelling. Got to be bragging rights, right? My dick so good, the girl bit her bottom lip off. I did walk out. She bit my nipple so hard that it bled, and called me a pussy when I complained about it. My ex-wife would bite me around my clavicle, most of the time hard, but not enough to kill the mood for me. It meant she was really liking what I was doing. Until one time when she bit so hard out of the blue, she drew blood. I went soft mid-thrust and it was over for the night. Found the pressure release valve. Shame. Edit Lamau. I didn't expect this comment to get this much attention. Thanks for all the love and awards. Y'all are ridiculous. Dude, she bit my dick. Wonder if we're talking about the same chick. Edit effing wholesome awards. Goddamn, I love Reddit. She probably thought it was your nipple. Call an ambulance. No, the firefighters. Jesus Christ, man. Yep. My boyfriend said he felt something hit his back like it dropped and hit hardish and moved, so we stopped and I checked and nothing was there, so we continued. About a minute later I had my hand on my boyfriend's shoulder and I feel something move on my hand. I look and a huge house spider comes running over onto my face. I screamed. My boyfriend looked, he sees the spider, slaps it off my face, and the pair of us get up and nope ourselves out the room, throwing clothes on as we go. Damn, 8 legs ruined our evening, lol. This is as hilarious as it is terrifying. The spider was expecting a threesome. The guy kept asking if he could remove the condom. But I'm clean. I've been tested like 2 weeks ago. You can trust me. Yeah, right. After maybe the 6th or 7th time, I got so pissed off I just up and left. People who say that have never had an STI test in their life. Old GF, I was down under and noticed a metallic taste. It was dark, but I wiped my face and my fingers were red. Well, my dumbass asked if it was that time of the month, she said no. So I scoot to the bathroom, and it looks like I'm painted for clown school. I get all cleaned up, but I couldn't figure it out. Then it hit me. Nosebleed. So I go back to my room, explain, she's crying because she didn't know what was going on. I calm her down and she goes to shower. 10/10 do not recommend. Edit. Geez, it's nice I'm not the only one this has happened to. I one time got a nosebleed because of how forcefully my now GF slammed her pussy into my face. This was like a week after we met. We've been dating for like 18 months now, and we still joke about it. Edit. My girlfriend is amused that over 6,000 people are now aware of the power of her pussy. All I can imagine is her shouting cannonball and then slams on your face. And it is a hilarious visual. I had an ex say her last boyfriend's name in the middle of the act. I wasn't even insulted because I knew she was a drama queen and the way she said it was so over the top. Oh my god, ex's name, you are amazing. Never stop. In a way that no real-life human speaks outside of movies. I wouldn't have been mad if it had been accidental, mistakes happen, but the fact that she was doing it intentionally so she could have a dramatic scene straight out of The Notebook or some other garbage romance movie. God, that is so cringe. Dodged a bullet with that one. Girl just started slapping the crap out of me. Slap me soft. Like. You can't ask me, first. I could have told you no and saved us some time. Okay, I came here for something like this. I got to tell my story now. So I used to work at a bar and this girl would come in every weekend and just sit and hang out. So one Friday I asked if she wanted to go out the next night for drinks because I had off. Fast forward to the next day, we're drinking and having a good time. We decide to go back to my apt and have some wine. So naturally, we skip the wine, we're making out on the bed, I'm on top, we're naked, and I think things are going just swimmingly. Then wham, she smacks me in the face. I pause and I look at her and in my head I'm like, okay, WTF was that? But then we just start making out again. Then sure enough, wham, smacks me from the other side. I just go, okay, stop doing that, and she says, why don't you try hitting me back? Never have I ever asked someone to leave so quickly in my life. Never called her again and she never came back to the bar. So that's the kind of thing that you need to ask someone about and establish beforehand, not wham to the head and oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were giving me head smacking signals. Did I misread the moment? He was my first Tinder hookup and kept trying to convince me that we shouldn't use a condom because he couldn't come with one on. In my naivete, I didn't leave immediately but instead listed some options that didn't involve his condom-less penis in my vagina but could still potentially allow him to come. He refused all of them and then tried to sneakily take off the condom without me noticing. That was my deal breaker, though in retrospect, it should have been much earlier, and I said, I need to leave. I calmly dressed and collected my things while he climbed under his covers and pouted. I blocked his number as soon as I was in my car. I actually did walk out. I was hooking up with this girl and she says something about her boyfriend while we are undressing each other and making out. I explain I don't need to be murdered in some cheating scenario. She explains it's her ex-boyfriend, so we are back on going at it for a few minutes and lining up for the landing when she says, "I'm going to turn on my flip so I can send him a video." Instant soft, and I let myself out explaining I ain't getting shot. You seem to be very focused on this whole not getting murdered thing. I mean, I kind of get it. I too care about not getting murdered. It's one of the driving forces behind a lot of my behaviors and personality. I hate getting murdered mid-sex. Still, had sex, so still a win. Poor thing's probably been murdered before and it wasn't a pleasant experience. I know, right? So weird when someone's obsessed with not being murdered. I was going down on a former girlfriend years ago and I was really drunk. Well, the room started spinning and to the toilet I went. Poor girl thought it was her. I reassured her it was not. I just mixed too much alcohol. Not only that, I've fallen asleep. Our relationship wasn't the best, and when I'd get home, she would pounce on top of me. As things went downhill, so did my energy, and soon I found myself sleeping during the more relaxed positions. Lol. I fell asleep after a blood donation. My boyfriend surprised me with a grilled steak and a glass of red wine. I was happy. We started making out, but maybe because of the blood loss, maybe the wine, I fell asleep. Not my proudest moment. I've been there, buddy. Had an ex who was kind of into tantra. 3 to 4 nights a week of 2-hour sessions when I've got to get up at like 5:30, it was just too much. I fell asleep once with my dick in her mouth and had to hear about it the next day. Been there. He wanted an hour plus, of foreplay and then position after position after position. I'd be long done, he's still going. And he'd say he was just enjoying it so much he didn't want to stop, which is cool, but after a while, I didn't even want to do it anymore. It was never ending. Yeah, there comes a point where it's no longer being nice to hold out until he finishes and your body just becomes his fleshlight. Like, dude, there are limits. Play within them, please. I have a story like this but in reverse, I guess. She and I had been out all day because she wanted to go shopping, but she had been working double shifts all week and was dead on her feet by the time we got home. However, instead of going to sleep, she was super horny and told me to lie down on the bed, which I gladly did. She starts riding me, and weirdly enough, she was the worst sexual partner I've ever had, but this one night was the best sex I've ever had, and the minute she finishes herself off, she collapses right into my chest and starts snoring. Also, that was the best cuddle session I've ever had. I realized she looked like a cousin. I couldn't keep going. There was a girl once, who was very obviously trying to hook up with me, and I probably would have been down, but she just looked way too much like my sister for me to even consider that. It's a weird situation to be in. What do you even do in that situation? Like, do you tell her? Hook her up with a friend? Hey, look, you got mad game, but you look way too much like my sister for me to consider doing anything with you, but come meet my friend Steve, he's an only child, so you're good to go. I just told her what was up. She knew my sister, so it wasn't hard to explain. Girl dead fished it, just laid there. She was super into doing nothing at all. It was too weird for me and I couldn't get into it. Literally said, "So, okay, should we just stop? Neither one of us is going to get off, so I'm just going to go." We didn't have sex again, but she continued to brag about how good she was. Yikes. She continued to brag about how good she was. I noticed a common theme when I was late teens to early 20s, that when I hooked up with a girl who had boasted about how good she was, the odds were higher than normal that she was not. Any man who must say he is the king, is no true king. Reminds me of a funny story. Years back, my best friend lived in a condo in a major city with 2 roommates. One was Dara, a woman with a bubbly personality and tons of friends. The other was Declan. He was Irish, very good looking and extremely charming. The Irish accent only added to it. Needless to say, many of Dara's friends were quite charmed by Declan and wanted to date him. Several of them did. Every single one of them ended the relationship quickly because the sex was that bad. Normally, if 1 or 2 people said he sucked, you might write it off, but he ended up dating about 7 of Dara's friends over the time they lived together, and every single one said he did nothing when it came to sex. He just lay there, expecting the girlfriend to please him and caring not one whit about her enjoyment. Ugh. Yeah, no. No matter how good-looking someone is, that makes them ugly really fast. Sounds like he was so charming that he never had to get good, if there was always another girl waiting in the wings. LOL, I think that is exactly what happened. Was a one-night stand with a single mom? The baby shared the room, and was sleeping in the same room, in crib, couldn't see us. It made me super uncomfortable, but she was insistent. I was just going through the motions since the situation wasn't doing anything for me, and mid-sex she said, "Can we just stop? You're not really my type." I was so relieved that I broke out in a huge smile, said something like, "Oh, thank God. You're not my type either, I just didn't want to be rude." Welp, since that's not a problem anymore, I'm out. I love the backhanded compliment of calling her super rude. She probably didn't even realize it when he said it either. That would have flown over my head too. It was after a date, we went back to his place, foreplay had gone nicely so we were continuing on to sex and he tried going in without a condom. I stopped him and asked what he thought he was doing. He stared at me super confused and was like, don't you want to have sex? I pointed out the lack of condom. He said he was fine without one. I told him it wasn't happening without a condom. He said he didn't have any laying around. I told him I had some in my purse and if he didn't like the brand or whatever then we could go to the store and get some he liked. He said it's killing the mood, so I told him not to worry about the mood, got halfway dressed, and left. When I was a few blocks away from his house, I finished getting dressed and went to a store, picked up a magazine, bought a face mask, and some stuff for a bubble bath. Turned out to be a pretty nice night when I got home. I had a similar experience with a Tinder date a few years back. He was driving me to his house outside of town, so before we left the city I said, "Do you have condoms or should we stop at a store?" He said he had a condom. A condom. I said we should stop at the store in case anything happened to the singular condom he wanted to trust the night to. He said it would be fine. He effed up putting it on and suggested we just do it anyway. We did not just do it anyway, it was not fine. If a woman suggests that one condom won't be enough, you take the win and get more effing condoms. I find men refusing to wear condoms for Tinder dates jaw-dropping. If the girl gets pregnant, she can choose to have the baby and you are paying child support for 18 years. You literally have no say in the matter. HIV is for life too. When I was a teenager, a girl and I parked on a back road and she climbed in the back seat and got undressed. I got out of the driver's seat and opened the back door to the car, and as soon as I did, I could smell her. It was extremely unpleasant. There was just no way I was going there, so I said, "I think I see a car. Someone is coming." And I got back in the front seat, put her in drive and took her home. She was a very kind and good-looking girl and quite popular in school, out of my league by most measures, but she had a stank bottom. I just couldn't do it. I also had a girl like that in my school. She was very attractive and cute and also into me, but even while she was dressed, there was this stank coming from her that made it impossible for me to even imagine having sex with her. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.